All right, what is good, everybody out here in all these social media platforms, even for you on Colorcast, who has been listening to us talk and destroying this heart button already? Love it. Welcome back to the next episode of Count the Bucket. I'm trying a new camera out on this here. Mark talked me into this blurred background. I like it, but there's a little bit of a delay, so if it gets too crazy, I may back out and switch a little bit. Kristen, my wife has texted me said, "Dude, you've been live this whole time on Colorcast." She's
We
my
know.
biggest critique in a good way, and I love her for it. So I appreciate all the critique. But CJ and of course C's are the one seed. Mark, as you know him, on the show quite a bit, guys. Welcome to the show. Always my co-host. It's official. We're just going to go ahead and say, CJ, you're an official co-host now. I don't care. We're done with this unofficial. I can hear myself on one of y'all's feedbacks. I don't know if it's the Colorcast app or what, but just going to throw that out there. I don't know if one of y'all need to turn the volume down some. But
Mine's muted.
okay. Anybody want to go ahead and just introduce yourself, give your platforms, what all you got, podcast, the whole 9 yards, and all that?
Yeah, I'm Mark. Like Michael had said, you can follow me over on Twitter at MarkBell2311. Basically tweeting, all things Celtics. Usually my name will be down here, but I have to let everybody know who's watched this. The C's are the one seed in the East. So if you guys are forgetting, or you guys think the Celtics are still the Celtics from November and December, they're the one seed now. So I just want to make sure everybody knew that to start the show. And then, let's have a good show, guys.
Absolutely.
Sir, Mark, glad to have you along, brother. CJ James, host of the Garter Podcast, co-host of The Hard Count, covering all things NFL under Unwrapped Sports every Tuesday at 9 p.m.
Also, go ahead and say that you're the co-host of Count the Bucket. Let's just go.
You already said it. So.
Let's just go ahead and get used to saying that, okay? All right, and of course, I am Michael. Follow us on Twitter with Count Bucket USN. Also, my second show is Backstop Banter. Go follow that. Follow that on Twitter as well. My personal account is MDLawson00. You can find that on all social medias I have in my bio, my link tree that has everything else I got. And then, of course, for you guys that are watching on YouTube or Twitter, Instagram, well, we don't have it on Instagram, but Facebook or anything like that, don't forget us on the Colorcast. It's a really cool app. You don't get to actually see our faces. You only get to listen to our audio, which is kind of nice. It makes it more interesting that way. But we like the app because you can do it on the phone. It's only on the phone. So you can kind of carry it with you as you're working out, whatever you're doing on there. But every one of us that have our profile or our account, we have the USN at the end of it. So go check us out and follow us all on there as well. You know what I did forget to do is share all this stuff with our group so they can all get in here. Let me go ahead and invite that. But I tell you what, Mark, let me go ahead and open up the floor and just let you take off with it because, as we know,
all the pressure in the world right now.
Well, I'm just saying, I was one. I apologize. I thought the Celtics were completely done. I was even on air saying that they might need to blow this up in some form of fashion. I won't say break up Tatum and Brown, but at least break up like Marcus Smart, try to find a better point guard, something to do with this lineup because it wasn't working. I'm guilty of it. Obviously, I don't know what I'm talking about. That's why I have a podcast to talk about sports instead of coaching sports. So what can you – and if you want to come back and just talk about basically in a nutshell the whole season and up to the point where everything changed, by all means, go ahead and do that because I want to know really what you think the turning point was and what has excelled those.
Honestly, I think the turning point was, late January, the team started to get healthy. You had Jaylen Brown who missed. He had COVID. Then he had a hamstring injury. He's missed like 15, 16 games this year. Mm-hmm. Tatum had COVID again. Horford had COVID. Robert Williams was out for a little bit of time. Smart was actually out for a little bit of time. Mm-hmm. So nobody was, the starting five, which is now the best starting five in the league, net rating wise, didn't really have many games together. So they didn't have that continuity yet. Mm-hmm. And that combined with the All-Star break, not the All-Star break, the trade deadline where they got Derek White and they brought Daniel Tice back and they got rid of, Schroeder and Josh Richardson and Romeo Langford and, a lot of these guys that weren't really, contributing too much. And you got a player like Derek White's a great two-way player. You know, he kind of reminds me of Smart a little bit as far as like the way he is on the defensive end, takes charges, gives his body up, things like that. And he's from a Greg Popovich team. Like, he's been coached well. He's a great player. So that helps when he's, coming off the bench as your sixth, seventh man. Then you have a guy like Peyton Pritchard. Peyton Pritchard's 20 for his last 27 threes in his last 5 games. Like, he's back to playing the way he did in the summer league. If you guys remember, when he was playing summer league, he was just going off. He had that one pro-am game where he scored like almost 100 points in that game. So he's shooting the ball lights out again. So all that combined with the way that they've dug in on the defensive end of the ball, net rating wise, they've been the number 1 defense since the end of January. And now offensively, they're starting to turn around too. In the month of March, they're averaging over 120 points a game. So they're just absolutely like, and it has to do with starts on the defensive end, and then it starts with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown on the offensive end. Those guys lead the league in 30-point games on the same game. They've each had 7 at the same time. So in 7 games, they've each scored 30 points, which leads the league. A lot of guys talk about this team as those guys as the best young duo in the NBA. It's time to just start talking about those guys as one of the best duos in the NBA, period. Not just under 25 or like they always do. It's like these guys are balling out. Jason Tatum, running up the MVP ladder. You got guys that are in the contention for Defensive Player of the Year. Ime should get tons of Coach of the Year votes with the way he's turned this thing around. There were 3 games under 500 on January 22nd. And now they're in first place in the Eastern Conference. They were the 11th seed in the Eastern Conference at that time, and now they're number 1. So kudos to everybody out there. Everybody just bought into the system, got healthy, and they're just playing how I didn't think they'd be this good and doing kind of what they're doing, but I thought they'd be up there. I had them as a top 4 seed, probably the 4th seed at the beginning of the season. So they're even exceeding what I thought. So, but it's been great to watch.
And of course, one thing that I was talking about, and CJ, if you want to kind of chime in on this, is the other team that we talked about last week, the hot team, was Minnesota, what all they've been doing. And we shared the stats of, I think it was Stat News on Twitter, where they're first place in offense, defense, and so many different places, second and like third and fourth and so on. But the matchup today was Boston and Minnesota, and Boston beat them by, it looks like 22 points, I think it was. So, I mean, does this show more where Boston is so much higher, or is just Minnesota? And I know it's just one game because that's
like season. So a lot of people when Boston was going on those runs were like they kept saying, well, Boston hasn't beaten anybody. Boston's beaten these lesser teams in the league, New Orleans, Atlanta, like none of the Detroit. They played Detroit like 4 times in this time span, so like they're playing Detroit, but they've actually beaten teams by significant points. Like I tweeted it out today, or I said it in the chat or something. I was like, oh, another game, another 20+ point lead for the Celtics. Like they just dismantled the Utah Jazz. They went 4-0 on their most recent West Coast trip. They destroyed Golden State. They destroyed Denver. Like these are good teams. These are 40+ win teams that are all in the playoff mix. They beat Philly by 40-something earlier this year. They got the tiebreaker over Milwaukee and Miami. So they've beaten them more times than they've beaten us this year. Like they have some really, really good wins. So it's not like they're just beating up on the bottom half of the league.
Are you impressed, CJ, with this Celtics team? Are they the real deal, or are we just, kind of got some, as we say, the homer opinions here coming from Mark?
Not at all. I got to give Mark a lot of credit.
I'm just saying, Mark, calm down. I'm just asking here.
Those aren't opinions. Those are facts, guys.
I agree.
Yeah, I got to give Mark a lot of credit. You look at Twitter, maybe 4 or 5 months ago, still positive about the Celtics the whole time. And a lot of people's like, listen, I know it's tough right now, but we got to keep it going. And it's really come full circle for them right now. Everything he laid everything out perfectly. They're playing phenomenal basketball right now. They've seemed to buy in to Udoka's system, Tatum and Brown. Yeah, you got to put him at one of the top duos in the NBA. Exactly. You can't just put the caveat of just being young duo. They're showing it. Number 1 in the Eastern Conference. And then they're going to be a tough out because of their defense. It's going to be tough to stop those guys. And we talked about this in the last episode as well. In a series, you need 2 elite shot creators, and that's what the Celtics have. And Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And you also got some high IQ players, Marcus Smart, Al Horford, high IQ. Always. That's why they brought him back. And then listen, it takes a lot of humility from Brad Stevens, to go from being a coach to going up and being the president, understanding, okay, maybe I lost the voice of the team from a coaching standpoint. Let me see how I could build a team. And I think he's done a great job with the acquisitions that that they acquired in the trade deadline, like Mark alluded to, Derek White, getting Tice back, another glue guy that has a lot of chemistry with those guys. So they're playing great basketball. Got to give them a lot of credit. And it's going to be a tough out. It's going to be a tough out in the Eastern Conference, 100%. I mean, we know the Bucks. We know they're the defending champions. The Bulls, they're inconsistent. They don't play against great teams. They don't play well against great teams. Who else? Miami's in a slide right now. I mean, I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about that in a little bit. They're on a 4-game losing streak, so they've been struggling. So Celtics are going to get home field advantage too. We know the TD Garden's definitely a tough place to play. So it's going to be a battle. I can't wait. I can't wait for this Eastern Conference playoffs. The parity in the NBA is crazy. It's crazy right now. So I can't wait to see who comes out the East. And Boston's going to be definitely one of those top teams.
We'll go ahead and kind of talk a little bit about Miami. So they are on a 4-game losing streak. We know about the blow up that happened with Spoels. I said Spoels. I always add that R. I don't know why. Spoels, Butler, and even Haslam as well.
Haslam, yeah.
I actually think it might have been more Haslam and Butler than what media kind of laid it on to be.
See, I don't think so, man. Like, if you watch the videos, it was kind of like Spo and Butler, and I think it was like Haslam sticking up for his guy.
In.
Right.
Okay.
Haslam was sticking up for his coach because that's his guy. He's been there for since the beginning.
Since the beginning, yeah.
I think he's basically telling Jimmy, like, F you, Jimmy, like, this is my guy. You got to talk. And he said something about show it on the court or something like that.
Really?
It was a weird situation.
I watched it a few times, and, somebody on Twitter had put, what do you think I'm going to fight you, is what Spo said.
That's
like,
what Spo said, yeah.
And then I was like, okay, so maybe this is a little bit. And then Haslam just jawing at him big time. So I was like, okay, maybe Haslam just stepped in as the bigger dog here and saying, hey, no, this is how it's going to be. And unfortunately, I think this is really a lot of trauma, not drama, but trauma for this team to keep on going because, I mean, they've lost 4. Spoels, I thought, was taking a little step back from the game, but actually in our chat we talked about he took a personal day, but it turns out his son or somebody, a relative, I'll say, had a medical procedure or something going on there. So understandable. Hope recovery on that, everything goes fine. But are the Heat, I mean, are they cooked? Have they been cooked too much on this Heat, what they've been doing? Because this team has been on fire really the whole year, staying up 1, 2, and 3 spot the whole year. And now they're slipping because I was wanting to say, actually last week, I was saying the Bulls may end up being in the play-in game or even slip out of the top 10. Well, the Bulls are on a 4-game losing streak too. So the Bulls and Heat almost in the same boat going on right now. Are we panic mode for the Heat, or we think they'll line this out, CJ?
I don't want to go panic mode yet. I mean, I think 4-game losing streak at this point in the season is definitely troubling. But I do feel like they have the right guys. Looking at that, heated argument that they had, and during the timeout, it was definitely it was crazy. It was definitely crazy for sure. But I mean, we've seen teams do this all the time. I mean, this is really, so a lot of these guys have a lot of ego. And they feel like they're always right. The fighting situation between Spo and Butler, it's not really going to happen. We all know that's not really going to happen. But emotions behind.
Really, I'm okay calling your coach out, but like fighting, like how does that even come to be? Like, what do you think? I'm going to fight you? Like,
I saw a tweet that said fights that Jimmy Butler almost started, and it was like 1,507,000, and then it was like fights Jimmy Butler actually started 0.
I mean,
just because he runs his mouth all the time, and he's got that tough guy mentality. But
I'm going to say this, and I like the Heat, so I don't want to say too much about them. Oh wow! I've just got a notification that says Pelicans announcers troll AD. I kind of want to look at that, but I'm not going to at the moment. But with the whole Joker thing, when that happened, they're all saying, hey, meet me around the back, meet me in the back of the locker room, meet me in the back of the locker room.
Yeah.
For that split week to 2 weeks, the Heat went on a big losing spell because they got off, to me, out-focused more about fighting or trying to be who's the tougher person than about playing ball. And then it's almost like we're doing this again. So I don't know.
That whole thing was like a sideshow. Then you had like Joker's brothers coming to the games and like stuff like that. Like,
they started a
and
Twitter
it looks
account.
like terrible now because Morris hasn't played since then.
Yeah. It's crazy.
You know?
So crazy.
Like, in my opinion, with that, like Morris, like hit him first, and he retaliated. Like, should he hit the guy in the back? No, obviously it looks like that looks shitty. But also Morris, you can't check the guy off the ball, and like he didn't move because Joker is 2 times the size of Morris, so it didn't look as bad. But when you get
that's
a guy
a point guard,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's crazy. It looks wild. Yep.
So, but I'm with. I mean, I don't think the Heat need to panic right now. I mean, they've been one of the most consistent teams in the East all year as far as where they've been in the standings. They got some good wins this year. I definitely wouldn't put them like up with the Bulls. The Bulls can't beat anybody good, and the Heat have shown that they can. And the Heat got championship pedigree on that team. They got Kyle Lowry. A bunch of these guys went to the finals a couple of years ago.
PJ Tucker.
They got a great defense. Bam's a great player. They got shooting. If Duncan Robinson can turn it around, man, I don't know what happened to him.
Got the bag and
a lot of people say he's podcasting too much. He's not worried about his jump shot. But Hero's obviously a great 6-man. Coming off the bench, and Butler, like Jimmy hasn't been playing that great this year. Like he was an all-star, but he's like, what did they say? He's like 9% from 3 over like the last. He's like terrible 3-point percent. I mean, he's not really a 3-point shooter, but you got to be at least able to knock it down. He hasn't been playing well as of late either, and I think they'll only go as far as he can take them because he's at the end of the day he's their guy, he's their star. Right. So if he's not doing well, it's going to be tough for the Heat.
What worries me about the Heat is they're in second place, or technically, I mean, they're the same record right now as the Celtics. The Celtics are the tiebreaker, so they're in second place. I mean, I'm just saying this, but they're a half a game back or ahead of the Bucks and the 76ers. So that moved them to 5th place if they lose the next game.
Yeah, 1 through 4 is so close, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And then even 5, which is the Bulls, are 3.5 out from them. So I mean, they're not too far, slipping far.
But there's only 7 games left, so you got to remember, like for the Bulls to make up 3.5 and 7. That's not really.
Well, I was going to actually go to their schedule here. They play the Kings, which should be a W. They play the Celtics, should be a W.
I will say Robert Williams got hurt tonight. He's not playing tomorrow. Celtics got a back-to-back. They're playing Toronto tomorrow in Toronto.
It's a tough game.
Robert Williams, it's a tough back-to-back. Robert Williams is not playing. He busted his knee up, so he's got to get X-ray in the morning. Al Horford's going to be out again. He didn't play tonight. He's got some family things going on, so they're going to be shorthanded going up to Toronto anyway. So we'll see.
But it's Kings, I do think it's a W. Celtics, it's up in the air. Bulls, I think it's a W. Then they play the Raptors, Hornets, Hawks, and Magic.
They're playing the Celtics in Boston, though, right?
Yes.
All right.
So I don't – that would probably be – to me, the Raptors and the Celtics are their biggest games that I think that they could lose if they're focused and playing hard. So I feel like they could finish out their 7 games.
In the Celtics schedule, like, they're the 1 seed. I get it. They're only tied for the 1 seed. And obviously I was pumped up earlier. But realistically, like, their remaining schedule, they have Toronto, Miami. They play the Bulls again. They play the Bucks again. They play Memphis again. Their easiest games left are against Indiana and Washington. So they only have 2 really, like, technically easy games left to play. I mean, the last 2 games of the year are Milwaukee and Memphis. By that time, those teams could be resting players. We know Ja's hurt. Ja hasn't been playing. It's but I saw a stat today that the Memphis Grizzlies, the highest, like, I forgot what it was, but without Ja playing, it was like 89.9 rating or something like that. They like crush teams without Ja. It's ridiculous.
That's when they actually beat the Thunder by 70 some points.
They beat the Bucks by 25 yesterday, and the Bucks were fully healthy, minus Lopez, obviously. But Lopez hasn't been playing, but they had Giannis, they had all their guys, and you're still beating teams by 25 without Ja, and Ja's supposed to be the most valuable player. I mean, Ja's really good, but how valuable is he if your team's still smashing teams without him, right?
They got to have a great team.
That's
they have a great team over there. I mean, so we still in Miami, or we still want to talk about what's going on with the Heat?
We good. If you want to move on, we can keep on going. You want to talk about Heat more?
I just wanted to say also, they're gonna is Jimmy really a number 1 guy to lead you to a championship? That's really the question. I mean, I know they went on that hot streak in the bubble, went up against the Celtics again in the Eastern Conference Finals, went 7 games, and they had a good game. They had a good series against the Lakers. Jimmy had some really good moments. I think he had a 30-point triple-double and a win. But is Jimmy Butler that number 1 option to help lead you to a title? And that, to me, that still remains to be seen. And like Mark said, he's not a great 3-point shooter.
Right.
He's not a guy you can rely on knocking down that outside shot. They have guys like Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson needs to get it going. I agree. It's Bam a number 2. I think they're kind of moved up. I think they probably need one more guy and to kind of fill out that 1, 2, 3. I think to me, Jimmy is a 2, Bam is a 3. They got to find that next piece. I've heard talks about Beal. You see those rumors have started to circulate over the last couple weeks. So we'll see if they're able to make that move. We know Pat Riley is not afraid to pull the trigger. So I think we'll see how the season plays out. This postseason plays out, and if they need some assistance, I'm pretty sure Miami's gonna do everything possible to make that happen.
They're close. They're very close. I think
for sure.
Mm-hmm. To get Bill. I mean, I don't know what you'd have to lose on that, but I don't think you try to get rid of Hero at all. Not just because he's a Kentucky boy, but because just
if you're not giving up Hero, you'd have to give up a ton to get. Like, it's hard to get Beal without having to give up somebody like that.
You probably have to give up Tyler, to get Beal for sure.
Don't do that, Pat. Come on, Pat. Remember those times when you used to draft Duke players and realized that it was a waste of time, and then you went out and got Bam, and then you went and got Hero, and now look where you're at. So, Pat, come on, stay true to the right blue. Do you want to address Dustin's comment, Mark? Real quick?
So the Celtics going to get bounced in the first round? Is that the comment you're talking about?
Yeah.
Dude, it's setting up like so. The path to the finals right now is setting up so perfectly. Like if the Celtics finish with the 1 seed, they got to play the 8 seed. Hear me out. 7th and 8th seed will be either the Nets versus Toronto or versus Cleveland in the play-in. I don't think the Nets are losing that first play-in game.
Right.
I just don't. I would give me Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving in a play-in tournament where they don't have to go into an elimination game, right? Which gives them the 7th seed, which means we either play Toronto, Cleveland, the Hawks, or the Hornets as the 8th seed, which is 5-game series at best in the first round against that team. Then we could either play, if say Miami and Chicago are 4-5, we'd play one of those teams. I would much rather play those teams than Brooklyn, Philly, or Milwaukee. Like, if we could avoid Philly, Milwaukee, and Brooklyn until the Eastern Conference Finals, like, that's the path. That's the path right there that gets you to the finals. So, first round's it's not going to happen. Do I want to see the Nets in the first round? Like, if somehow they lose? Obviously not. I don't want to. Am I scared of the Nets? No, I think the Celtics can hang with them, but it's a tough matchup. It's a 7-game series early, and you don't want that early.
Yeah. That's a great series.
Speaking into the universe there. Speaking it into the universe, he says. Anything else in the East? I know since we kind of are saying there, I guess we need to kind of address this. Let me make sure it's on my list here. Yeah, it was my last point, but we'll go with it. Today, Kyrie is free. He gets to play at home games now. So talking about the Nets, I do think that's going to be a little bit of a better team now. Obviously, I mean, that was probably the most Captain Obvious statement I could ever say as a post here. But, like, I expected him to have an amazing night tonight, but it looked like he's only had like 12 or 14 points right now. I don't know.
They lost to the Hornets, I think. I think
they just lost.
They just lose. Okay.
LaMelo had like 8 threes.
Special.
Yeah.
He is special. I hope. I don't know why. I don't know. I think if you're in your 30s, the Hornets are a team that you always have kind of just halfway liked because of Muggsy Bogues and then even Larry Johnson when you played for him too. Alonzo Mourning, and that blue, it's just a cool looking blue. They've got the coolest jerseys, I think. So you always hope the Hornets do something good. But I hope that they can figure out. I think
they need Simmons. I think they need Simmons.
100%.
If they don't get Simmons back this year, if his back's not right or whatever, I don't think they make a run.
Really?
But not to the finals anyway. I don't think they can't win a championship without Simmons, I don't think.
He said he's about to start practicing, and hopefully he could play the last couple games of the season. So that's a big addition if they need him back. Getting Kyrie back, playing home games, it's big. It's essential, man. I mean, he struggled tonight, but he's still a dynamic scorer.
The crazy thing that a lot of people are like talking about is like if they play Toronto in that first play-in game, they would have to go to Toronto, and Kyrie can't play in that game.
Right.
Because Canada's rules are different. So he would actually miss that play-in game. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why every game on their schedule is so paramount at this point. I mean, that's why it's a great thing that he came back and he's able to play these home games because it's gonna be a struggle. They just lost to the Hornets, who I think had a lead or they're close in record wise. So I like their chances. I think them and the Celtics and the Bucks to me are the three most dangerous teams in the Eastern Conference right now. Just because again of what they have, and they have MVP caliber players on their team, and they have well built roster. But they're able to get Ben Simmons, just adds a different dynamic. They could essentially go small. You could put Ben at the 5, KD at the 4, and then Kyrie, and then 2 other shooters for spacing. And that's you could switch on everything. Simmons is a bust. Come on, man. I don't see
Simmons is not a bust. Like everybody wants to hit on Ben Simmons, and I'm a Celtics fan. Like I love to hate the 76ers or when he was with them and other rivals. But Ben Simmons is like, if the Celtics found a way to trade for Ben Simmons and kept Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, I would have loved it. Like you get a guy that like he doesn't have to score on that team. Like everybody's worried about him shooting the ball. Like he doesn't have to do that on that team. Just play defense, run the break, rebound, get guys involved. Like that's all he has to do. He's got 2 guys that can go for 50 on any given night on his team. Plus, one of the biggest additions in that trade, you got Seth Curry now. Seth Curry's having a hell of a season this year. I think that was a huge, and that's why you were hearing when rumors were going around, like Morey didn't really want to get rid of Curry, but in order to get his boy Harden, who he absolutely loves for whatever reason, I don't know, because I don't know. Harden doesn't really impress me. Yeah, he's going to get buckets, but pairing him and Embiid together with the 2 guys that don't do well in the playoffs, it's a tough match, a tough pair to put together.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of an example that I could use as far as like Ben Simmons, but I don't even want to use this one, but it's the only thing I think of. It's like putting Jason Kidd on a team and expecting him to be like the lead scorer and not have anyone that can jump out of a gym that he can pass to. Like, that's not what he's going to excel at. And of course, I was one that ragged on him like crazy because I can. It's Ben Simmons during the time. But if he can get on the right team, and I think the Nets is a perfect team for him, he'd just be a distributor and not even worry about scoring. He'll be completely fine on this team.
Yeah, he's pretty much like a uber athletic version of Draymond, really.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. He could be a secondary playmaker. He could come up with the rock while those guys, space the floor. I mean, it's if they're able to if all 3 of those guys are healthy, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to stop. Man, he's versatile. He could guard 1 through 5. He gives defenses a lot of problems, and the spacing is completely different than what it was in Philadelphia. We talked. I've so many debates even in the USN chats over the last few years about the paint was packed because of Embiid and Simmons. Now that's not the case now because you have the spacing. They have so much spacing. You guys talked about Curry. Of course, we know KD, Kyrie, Patty Mills has gone through a little slump right now. If he could get it going, that'll also be a big time addition. And I think Drummond too. Drummond was a big pickup as well. Say they go up against a Milwaukee where they have the size, Bobby Portis, Giannis, Brook Lopez. You need those bodies in order to go up against those guys. I think that was a really good pickup. He could get rebounds. He could get secondary options. So it's they're dangerous. They're dangerous. Let's be real.
Logan here on YouTube for you guys on Colorcast Not Seeing It says, let's be real, if Simmons went to Boston, he'd still be pulling the same crap that he's doing in Brooklyn. I don't expect Ben to come in and wreck shop, but at least put up at least 14 points in assists. Oh, yeah. I mean, I think –
he doesn't need to put up 14 points.
Yeah.
I'm saying if he can't get 18 on this team, man, just off pure effort.
Rebounds.
Rebounds and putbacks.
Yeah.
He could be a role man in certain lineups, where if you
can still dunk. He can still dunk pretty good. Like get him on the fast break.
Right, exactly. On fast breaks, he's rolling to the back, a pick and roll between.
Pick and roll. I mean,
KD and Simmons is you have to double KD, so it's an easy dump off. He should be able to get 18. Honestly, I feel like he should be able to get 20.
I mean, I don't have it in front of me, but like, what's Simmons' points per game average for his career? It's got to be. It's going to be between 15 and 20 points.
Yeah, I think it's like 15 around there. Yeah.
I was going to say, like, a guy can still get you easy buckets. He doesn't have to
doesn't
have to knock down threes.
It's the key thing is the free throws. That's going to be the key thing. In the game, if it gets –
they're going to hack-a-shack him.
Right. They're going to foul him, and he needs to be able to knock down those free throws if he wants to stay in the game. Sure, you could switch guys in and out depending on situations, but he has to be able to knock down those free throws.
Okay, I don't understand this, and I've heard it. The hack-a-shack, his hands were too big for the ball, so he couldn't actually hold it to shoot right. I mean,
you ever seen him shoot a free throw? It's like on his fingertips.
Yeah, but still, Shaq. But like, how hard is it to really shoot a free throw for anyone else but Shaq?
One of the Shaq stories I heard, he was playing a game, and the night before the game, he calls his trainer and he says, "Let's go to the gym." This was like late at night, midnight or whatever. And no word of a lie, he hit like 40, 50 free throws like in a row. The guy was saying just couldn't miss. Then the next game, he goes 0 for 14 from the line.
Really?
And it's like he's like at that point, he knew that was all. It was all a mindset thing,
right?
For Shaq, because you saw him do it in an empty gym, make so many in a row, and then you get into the arena where there's people heckling you and people are on you, and now it's a lot tougher.
Yeah, it's tough. It's not an in rhythm shot. Like you're just standing there, and you got to be able to. It's tough.
Dustin says, "Don't understand how your point guard can't shoot free throws." Well, sadly, Ben is not really a point guard; he's a point forward, really. So I mean, but still, I don't understand how anyone in the NBA can't shoot free throws. Like you've done that your whole life. You should be able to shoot.
They call them free throws. They're not easy throws, man. They're not. Like
that's a good point, man.
They're not. It's not the easiest shot, especially when you're looking like depth perception, like behind the backboard in a stadium, in an arena where you got people going crazy and stuff like that. It's easy for the elite guys, right? The guys who shoot 80, 90%, the Steph Currys of the world. Ray Allen, when he played, he never missed a free throw, like those guys. But when you're a big man, where you're a center or somebody like that who doesn't really even shoot jump shots in a game, how's a free throw easy? You know what I mean?
But do you not practice that?
Of course you practice it, but what are you going to practice more? Like, if you're a big man, are you going to practice your drop steps and stuff you're going to add your low post moves, or you're going to just sit there at the free throw line? Yeah, you practice it, but like how much do you actually put into it, you know?
I mean, here's my thing on it. I'm 35 years old, about to be 36 in a couple of weeks. I can go to a pickup game and shoot a free throw and be pretty decent at it for a pickup to make the first team or second team, first five, second five.
Yeah, but I bet you if you put all these NBA players in a pickup setting, I bet you they'd knock down free throws too.
Definitely. Okay. It's the crowd. You got to think about the crowd, the pressure, the situation.
Put yourself in Miami at American Airlines Arena where the crowd goes crazy, stand at the free throw line and make the free throw. You might. I'm not saying you can't. But I'm just saying, ice water in the veins, exactly.
Ice in the veins.
I'm not saying you can't, but I'm saying it's going to be a lot harder. Your knees, you're going to be up there with your knees shaking a little bit. It's not going to be out the races.
Break. I'm out, coach. I can't do this.
You'll fake an injury at the line. I couldn't bring a sub in.
Cool. Heart attack. You can't check that. Take me out, man. I'm done. Blood pressure drop. Get me out of here. But they're still, I mean, we say this jokingly, but they're professional athletes. Like they've done this their whole life. Like I have been in tough situations in a fourth quarter game crunch time. Granted, it was grade school, middle school, high school, even 1 year of college basketball. Like these guys have played basketball their whole lives. Can they not handle some pressure?
It's just no different than anything else. So what happens when a guy misses an open layup? Or when a guy misses a dunk, or when a guy throws a pass and he just misses the guy, or in any sport, really. What if a kicker in football misses a kick?
That rim gets tighter. I know it gets smaller.
It happens.
It
it's just like when guys are in the zone. It's like they're throwing it in the ocean. They can't miss, you know?
It's not in rhythm. Like layups, a play going into a shot. You feel like you're standing on that free throw line. It's like it's just you. Ref calling, tell the ref give you the ball. Like I said, key situations. It's a difficult. That's why when you see guys go like Curry, like Nash used to be a great free throw shooter, like Ray Allen, go 90%. It's really speaks to how much work they put in, how much they're not afraid of that pressure. It's routine for them. And again, big guys aren't shooting that well too. I mean, we're just starting to see big guys start to shoot over the last few years or so. Mm-hmm. So guards, they're used to that. It's like a regular shot to them. So I think in due time, you see Embiid, you see Jokic, they're able to shoot free throws pretty well because they've learned if they don't want to be dominant, they got to space the floor. So
I mean, we've even seen Ben shooting 3-pointers in off seasons. Like surely goodness he can make free throws.
That's pickup though.
I agree. So I want to ask you all this, CJ. What was your routine when you went to the free throw line? Because I know you still remember your routine.
Yeah, I mean, just simple. Two dribbles. Take your time and just put it up, man. Nothing too crazy. Yeah.
I still do my same routine from when I was in high school when I played basketball.
I do too.
3 dribbles, a little spin on the fingers, and then apply.
I do this weird thing. I mean, I do 2 dribbles, but like I move it's almost like I'm walking without picking up my feet, if that makes sense. Like I bend my legs on 2 dribbles, then I bounce twice, and then I go up with my shot. also do something else in between, but I don't want to sound too girly on that, but we'll just keep on going.
You don't do the Rick Barry where you just do the underhand shot?
No. Well, see, I was actually going to ask you. I mean, if you're that bad in free throws, like, is there a point where you just finally say, "Screw it"? Like, I at least want the baskets, and no matter what, do it.
I don't.
Like, who was it that shot?
I don't think it ever gets to that point.
Who was it that shot left-handed because he was shooting so bad right-handed and it went in? Because it was on Twitter quite a bit. It's like, hey, he shot left-handed and he actually made it.
I know Plumlee. It might have been Plumlee. He just.
I think it might have been Plumlee.
They were talking about it during the game. He was terrible.
Arenas used to shoot just one hand. He would just let it sit in one hand and just shoot it with one hand.
And that's crazy because he's a good guard ball player, pulls from 3-point.
Yeah, I think that was more so that he just did it because he could, not that he couldn't make any.
I mean, you're right. You caught me on that one. Yeah, you're definitely right on there. I don't know. It just always.
You could be like Jordan and shoot it with your eyes closed.
Okay, I've never done that in a game, but it's actually somewhat easy to do. Like after a while, it's muscle memory. Like,
it's a routine, exactly. It's a muscle memory.
That's what I don't understand. Like these big guys have done this so much that it should be having somewhat of a chance to go in. And going back to you were talking about Shaq, I actually remember watching, and this guy was probably like in his 80s, and he was telling everyone, he had a video out, the beef, balance, elbow, what was the other one? Eye contact.
Eye contact.
And follow through. And he had this meeting with Shaq, and he tried to work with him, and he was finally making the free throws. But then, of course, the hack of Shaq happened. He made like 100 in a row, the guy did. And he was just, you always did that. So you can do it if you get in the right routine, I feel like. But I don't know. I can't understand it. Like, growing up in grade school, like 5th and 6th grade, my coach, which was my dad, expected us to be 70 to 75% at the lowest from free throw.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm sure they expect that too, but again, it's a guy like Shaq who's not especially in Shaq's era, like where big guys didn't really stretch the floor in Shaq's era. Like he's not expected to. No, I'm not even talking about free throws. Like he's not expected to shoot. Like he's not going to face you up and shoot a jump shot over you. Like, that just wasn't Shaq. Though. That wasn't Shaq's game. Shaq could never do that. Shaq could never face you up.
Totally.
Shaq was a back to the basket big.
Cross you up.
He tried in a couple of All-Star games, but he'd give you 2 power dribbles, a drop step, and he'd dunk on your head.
Like, you actually
one of the most dominant guys, most physical guys that's ever played the game. He didn't.
Have you seen the video about why he dunked so hard?
Why he does it now?
Okay, so apparently in high school, his dad was his coach, and he just got to where he was able to dunk the ball. And he was a big Magic fan, not Magic's, but Magic Johnson fan.
Yeah.
And he went down on the fast break and did a pretty finger roll and missed it, trying to act like Magic Johnson. And he said his dad called timeout, took his son out, took him outside of the gym, and said, "Son," with some words, "why didn't you dunk that ball?" He said, "Oh, I was trying to work on my finger roll like Magic." He said instantly, "Smack! You're not Magic. You be Shaq. You dunk that ball." And he said, ever since then, I always dunked as hard as I could out of spite of my dad making me dunk the ball. What's up, bub? You need something?
Why did you say smack?
Get him on the show.
His son wasn't obeying his daddy, so he got a whipping. Go to bed. And he shuts the door. But so that's what he always said. That's why I literally would always dunk in forces, because my dad made me dunk and I didn't want to be a dunker. I'm like, wow, that's crazy.
That's a good point, man. That's why Shaq was Shaq, was because of that moment.
It really and crazy.
Facts.
Sorry, guys, got to get a drink here.
Good.
My wife texts now and says, "I'm sorry because my son."
Well, bring him on the show. Special guest.
He'll whine.
We'll turn him into a Celtics fan. Don't worry.
Listen, guys, you all know, and Logan, I'm sorry, you got a comment here about LeBron James, and I'm not bringing that onto the show because I can't stand him. But my son.
Bring it on the show. We'll dispute it.
Okay. Well, my son has just got a new bedspread for his new bed, and he wanted Space Jams, and I could not talk him into Michael Jordan Space Jams. He got LeBron James.
I just bought my kids today matching Air Jordan 1s.
Ooh, nice.
Red and black.
I've never even had a pair of those.
Yeah. The classics.
So when I make my son's
something
bed,
else, I was like, no, you got to get these.
All right. right, let's see here. Let's move on. What's our next point we got? Got to pull it up. We talked about Celtics. We kind of talked a little bit about Timberwolves, but after today, do you think they can make any noise in the Western Conference? I still think they could, but after today, it kind of maybe
what do you define noise? Like Western Conference Finals appearance, or
out of the first round?
Okay,
first round, making maybe a 6 to 7 game second round.
What are they, 7 right now, right? They're the 7th seed right now. So they'd be in the play-in against the Clippers?
Yes. Hang on, I'm pulling up the
Nuggets. I think the Nuggets are a half a game or a game ahead of them.
Let's see here.
I think they could get that. I think they would get that 7th seed. I think they could beat LA, especially at home, the Clippers. Especially if I don't think PG's coming back, or Kawhi's definitely not coming back.
Right.
So I think they can win that. And then they would have to play either Memphis or Golden State, probably Memphis, and they're not beating Memphis in the first round. So maybe that series goes 6 games at best for them.
I mean,
you think they could beat Memphis?
I feel like that matchup at least would be good.
It's a fun series, yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it'd be definitely a fun series. It's exciting.
Yeah,
it'd be exciting.
I mean, I don't think they'd have a chance against the Suns as far as matching up well. But at least
they wouldn't play unless they're the 8th seed. But
yeah, well, I'm just saying, like, I think if it would be like the Wolves against the Suns, I think it's a 4-game sweep.
Yeah, I mean the Suns are right now. That's a team to beat, in my opinion. Yeah. In the West, CP3 just got back. Like Booker's on a tear. Booker had 35 tonight.
Not 60.
He's like the MVP guy that nobody talks about. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
He really doesn't get any credit. I don't think he's. It's tough. I don't think he's going to be the MVP, but I mean, I definitely think he deserves to be in the conversation.
Definitely.
Just because he held down the fort when CP3 was out, and they kept that team afloat as the 1 seed. So
they didn't really fall out of there any. And I don't have that on note, so we'll go ahead and talk about it. If the Suns' record 61-14 was the Warriors, Steph Curry would be the front runner for MVP.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Or if it was the Lakers at this, LeBron James would be the front runner for MVP.
No question.
But because it's the
LeBron
Suns,
James going to make first team All NBA, and his team's going to be 15 games under 500, which is going to be laughable.
Which I'm looking at my Bleacher Report on my phone right now, and it's quite comical right now. I don't understand this, but the Lakers are in the 9th seed with 29.5 games back from first, and the Pelicans are in the 10th seed with 29 games back from first.
That's
like what are their percentage? It goes by percentage points.
I think the Pelicans have one game up on them in their series. I think they play one more time.
But the Pelicans have one more win.
Right.
Yeah. What's the percentage?
Have the same amount of loss.
What's the winning percentage? The Lakers probably have a higher winning percentage. That's what it goes by, percentage points.
Well, the Lakers are 31-43, and the Pelicans are 32-43.
Strange.
So, I mean, I would actually think the Pelicans would have the bigger win percentage on that.
I would think so. I would think so too.
And they just beat the Lakers.
I like how the Eastern Conference is like the conference now, where it used to be just like everything was out of the Western Conference. Now the Eastern Conference, if you look at their bottom teams, they're like the play-in teams. The worst one's the Hawks, and they're at 500 right now. Yep. And then the other guys, like in the West, the Lakers and the Pelicans, they're all under 500, like way under 500, and they're still in the playoffs. That used to be the Eastern Conference.
But you got to say, you look at those other. You look at the Clippers, Pelicans, Lakers. They've all missed their key guys too.
Yeah,
I mean, Pelicans don't have Zion.
Yeah.
Clippers
Even
don't have
Trailblazers.
They're out of it. But
they have Dame. Yeah.
And Lakers didn't have AD for a substantial amount of time. So if those guys are healthy, it's starting to be more of a balance. I see what you're saying though.
I get no AD, but and I don't expect the Lakers to be the 1 seed, but when you still have LeBron James, the 2nd greatest player of all time, on your team, like you got to be better than 10 games under 500 or whatever it is, because you still have all the guys that he handpicked. He literally called Carmelo Anthony over the summer and said, I've
lost control of the show.
I need you to win a championship. He's got his guys. He begged them to trade for Russell Westbrook. These are all guys that you handpicked. And I get you don't have AD, but you need to be better than you need to be above 500.
Mm-hmm.
when you're that good. You're not even like you're an all-time player. You're a legend.
Here's the thing that I think is going to be funny. There's still a chance that they don't even make the play-in game. They're a 1 game ahead of the Spurs right now in the loss column. The Spurs are 30.5 out.
Let's go Pop. Let's go Pop.
So, I mean, I think that would be hilarious. But there's a question I would love to ask LeBron right now if I could. I would like to look him in the face and say, LeBron, whatever your middle name is, James, I want to know if you like the rule of the play-in game this year or you don't. Because I bet you
this year he loves it. This year,
of course, this year he loves it. A couple years ago, he hated it.
Actually, he still might hate it because it's just gonna like delay the inevitable. Like he's still gonna have an early summer.
I mean,
he's gonna win one. Like they're gonna be an 8 seed or whatever, and they're gonna lose to the Suns in the first round again. Like that's not. It's just extra games on his old body. He doesn't want that.
Yeah, he'll rest the play-in game, like the one play-in. I got to rest this game, guys. That way, if we get a series, I'm good. Oh, we lost. Dang it. Might as well make Space Jams 4, and it sucked. But anyways. All right, let's see here. How are the Bulls? We talked about sleeping. Should Booker be MVP candidate? We kind of hit on that, but let's go a little bit deeper on that. Who are we thinking are the top? Let's go top 5 right now in MVP because I think Booker deserves to at least be in the top 5 now, no matter what, because I actually seen a stat. It was on NBA, and it was talking about the highest scoring rate on each league, which Booker had it, of each year on the best team was the MVP candidate, except for 1 year, and it was Steph Curry, and I can't remember who won it that year. So Booker's like not even in the talk.
I think he should be top 5, definitely. I have Jokic. I think Jokic wins it back to back. I don't even think it's like a question anymore. I think Jokic has got the MVP. But I think it's Jokic, Embiid. I think Tatum has creeped up into that conversation. Giannis is there. And I think I do, but that's not a homer thing. That's just I'm not gonna that's common sense right now. Like the guy is at an absolute he's averaging over 30 points in the month of March. He's at 28 points per game for the season. He leads the league in plus minus. His team's the 1 seed. His team's gonna have 50 wins after only having 18 wins 2 months ago.
I mean, I agree with you.
You know what I mean? It's and then I think Ja would be in that category and Devin Booker are like right there.
Okay. What about you, CJ?
Yeah, I would probably still have Embiid 1, just because first half of the season, remember still no Simmons, and he was still playing. Even today, he had 35 and 17. I know they lost to the Suns. We still had a really good game. I would still have him 1 just because I feel like he's been consistent throughout the whole season. Jokic too. Jokic, I feel like it's really close. It's really close between those 2 guys. I would just give the slight nod to Embiid this year. And then 3, I would still go Ja. I know they're 15-2 without Ja, which is crazy. But a lot of people didn't have Memphis even being the number 2 seed in the Western Conference this year. No one saw that after them being the 8th seed last year. For now being the number 2 seed, he has a lot to do that. I know that's only 17 games. You got to think about the other 60 plus games that they played when they got Ja. He's been a big reason for that. Then 4 and 5. I mean, Giannis is always going to be in discussion, but yeah, I mean, I put Tatum and Booker in that 4 or 5 spot. I mean, just because of how they got both they led their teams to having the number 1 seed in their respective conference. Excellent scores. You got to put them in there. I mean, if we're counting MVP for winning, and that's a key factor in it, you got to put those guys there. They're the best players on the team, and they've been contributing to that every single time. So that's my top 5. I think Embiid will win it, but it's been close. It's been fun. It's been a lot of discussion. It hasn't been a clear cut guy like we've seen in years past, where it's like, oh yeah, we already know this guy's going to get it. There's no one else really going to creep up and possibly take the award. So I think it's been and I think that's going to continue for years to come moving forward. I think it's going to be a fluid of guys. I don't think it's going to be where we saw like LeBron win it like 4 years out of 7 years of being dominant. I think it's going to be a few guys sporadically winning it. And it's just going to make the league even more exciting. So, but yeah, I got to be number 1 as for my MVP still.
See, I like Jokic because of what he's done without MPJ
Anyone.
and Murray, Jamal Murray all year to keep those guys afloat and to do what he does. And
here's my thing for him too is just looking at actually from NBA.com, Joker's numbers are 26 points per game, 13.8 rebounds, and 8 assists. And Embiid's
triple-double machine.
Yeah, Embiid's is 29.9, so pretty much 30 points a game, 11 rebounds, and 4 assists. So, I mean, they're pretty much close, except for those assists are a lot different. Mm-hmm. I think even rebounds. Joker's got 2 more rebounds averaging and then 4 more assists. So I give him the edge just because of the stats there and because he is the only hope for that team right now.
Yeah.
But I still think I want Embiid to win it if that makes any sense whatsoever. But so as of right now, I'm going to say Joker's 1, Embiid 2. I'm actually going to put Luka up there. I don't know if I'm going to put him at 3 or 4. Probably Ja at 3, Luka at 4, and then I'm going to put Devin at 5. Just because I want to mix it up some. What's crazy is looking at the NBA.com here, they've got – I'm going to just tell you their list, and it's been a week ago that they had this. They've got Joker 1, Embiid 2. They've got Giannis at 3, obviously completely respectable on that. 4, they have Ja. 5, they have Luka. Then they're round off the next 5. They got Jason Tatum 6, Steph Curry 7, DeRozan 7, tied. And then
what's that, NBA.com's?
NBA.com, yeah. Then they've got Devin Booker at 9 and Kevin Durant at 10. So I mean,
yeah, that's
low for Booker.
Yeah, they're gonna update it. I think they updated it. They're gonna update it next.
I was gonna say that seems like an old list because I don't think Curry's that high anymore.
No,
well, I was gonna say
Tatum was like number 3 on that list like 3 days ago.
Okay.
On the NBA.com list.
Well, I was going to say I wouldn't even think DeRozan would be that far back or that high up too. I feel like he has kind of moved on back in this little.
That's what I mean. Yeah, him and Curry kind of dropped a little bit in my opinion.
Definitely.
But what about Gobert? Like, I almost feel he's kind of under the radar on a lot of these stats, like the rebounds, the shot percentage, and everything that he does, his defense. And I'm not really a Gobert fan, but he's actually played pretty well this year.
Gobert's unanimous defensive player of the year. Like every season, he's going to be up there in that conversation. He's never going to be up for an MVP. Ever.
Nah, yeah,
unfortunately, it's just not going to happen.
I agree with Mark. He's a great defender. He's great at what he does, but MVP of the league, I don't see it. Just because he's not able to create his own shot offensively, he's not
the second best player on his team.
Yeah, he's second best. Exactly, he's the second best player on his team.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he's not a guy the Jazz go to late in the game to get a shot. It's just it's Mitchell and pray pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
So, honestly, I think if you want, I think right now, I mean, I know he got hurt tonight, but I think Robert Williams done a great job. Jaren Jackson Jr. I think those two guys deserve a lot. I mean, it's like the LeBron thing. I mean, you could give him the award every year, but we got to start mixing it up. Start giving some other guys awards that really, put the work in and deserve it. So I would go with those two guys.
Bam makes a good one.
Bam, sure, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, those 3 guys have done a great job. I think Robert Williams has really come along, starting to figure it out.
Marcus Smart.
He's been very defensive this year.
Ben Simmons, on the bench.
He's been defensive.
Very defensive. So let's back up a little bit because we know we will get Jamal Murray some point very soon. I don't know if they've ever said when he's coming back, but they said playoff. He should be back.
They're both supposed to be back, I think.
I was going to say, I thought Porter too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could this Denver team be a little scary if they come back any remote back to where they were beforehand as player individuals?
Yeah, I mean, I think they can. It's tough to see like how they'll click and when they return. Is Jamal Murray going to be back to his his old form, or is he going to be it's his first play all season? He hasn't played a game at all this year. Mm-hmm. So what are we going to get from him if he returns to his old form? Same thing with Michael Porter Jr. Then yeah, of course they could definitely be dangerous. Last time they were together, I mean, like you saw a couple years ago in the bubble, like the games that Murray put up in the playoffs when they came back they came back twice from 3-1 down in those series. So like they've shown that they can have some playoff success. So if they're all healthy and can find that cohesiveness with each other, then they'll be fine.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh no, yeah.
I was just going to say, I think even with Aaron Gordon, who's not played with him, having him added to this roster and a couple more other players. I was watching him play somebody I can't remember, or maybe it was the Suns they were playing, and I thought, when this team is actually completely healthy with all the additions that they made, technically last year and up to this year, this really could be a scary team coming into playoff time if they're at top notch on that. But go ahead, CJ.
I just feel like it's a tall task, like Mark said, to ask him, just coming off the ACL. You're telling him, okay, now I need you to play like bubble Murray in the playoffs. You need some games to get conditioning right. We saw Clay, who's been out for, he was pretty much out for 3 years, it seemed like. And it took him a while to get it going. So to ask a guy like Murray to, go be that guy that you were before you tore your ACL in the playoffs, high pressure situations, I feel like I think next year, he could come back and still contribute, but I don't think they're going to have a really big playoff run. I think next year, when all those guys are healthy going into the season, I think they're going to be very dangerous.
I'm actually on the Nuggets page, if that makes sense, on Bleacher Report, and somebody's asked when Michael Porter Jr. is coming back in there, but one person's saying he doesn't expect him back this year, and somebody said maybe playoffs. So I don't know, maybe they're getting a lot of different answers. I haven't. Again, it's like the Suns. You don't really hear much about the Nuggets, even though the Suns are in the first place.
I would just see how it plays out. If the series isn't going well, say if they're like down 0-2 or something like that, it's like, what's the point? What's the point in bringing those guys back? Just shut them down. Just have them wait to get healthy for an entire offseason, get fully right, and then come back next season. They're all young, so it's not like it's a big rush. It's not like they have a small window. So just keep them fresh going into 22-23.
People crack me up. I'm sorry. There's a post here on there that says Murray and Michael Porter Jr. need to play. This is taking way too long. Players never set out this long 10 years ago. What's the deal?
It's a different league.
Way different league. Players did play through injuries.
And not only that, like even technology and recovery, and
right. One has a back, the other has an ACL.
Come
back the next day. I don't understand.
They're gonna have like cryogenic chambers or something. Just go sit in there and just become a new person. I don't think LeBron's been able to play for so long. Yeah. He gets the best treatment out of everybody. I had this argument with one of my buddies that back-to-backs in the NBA shouldn't be tough because of how pampered these athletes are. When all you hear of former players that have played, when you listen to them on podcasts and talk shows, they always say how hard it is to play in a back-to-back, especially a road back-to-back when you're traveling from city to city. And, because I think it was because the Celtics, they lost to the Pacers. They played Detroit and the Pacers back-to-back, and they lost to the Pacers after beating Detroit. And they're like, oh, the Celtics should never lose to the Pacers. They're playing like this. And I was like, it's hard. It's the traveling. And then he was going off on how these guys get the best massages. They stay in 5-star hotels. They have the best foods. They have chefs cooking for them. Like, they could never lose a back-to-back. It should be easy. I was like, it's not the case. Regardless of what you have and how well you're taken care of, it's not easy.
Mm-hmm. And also, underrate the bad team too. The bad teams too. Those guys, they still have a job at the end of the day.
That's what I'm saying. They're all NBA players,
right? So
I think that game, one of the guys for the Pacers had like 8 threes. It was like a career game. Like, you can't plan for that. That happens.
Right. Exactly.
What was the redheaded guy that sucked in the NBA that played? I want to say he played for the Celtics.
Scalabrine.
That would go and play people, pick up and like, I suck in the NBA. But
the White Mamba.
Yeah, and then he would tear them up.
The worst player in the NBA would be better than any high school player. It's ridiculous how some of these people think.
Unless they're shooting free throws, then
I guess.
But I don't know.
He's not going to be happy until another center misses not another free throw. If he sees a center miss a free throw, he's going to lose his mind.
Everybody should make the free throws.
Should they not? It's free. They don't even call it a shot. That's how easy it is.
Like Mark said, doesn't mean it's easy, even though it's free. Facts.
It's 15 feet away. You've done it your whole life.
There is an old saying that goes, "Free throws win games." So they are big. They're important.
Yeah,
they're very important. I guess only championship caliber players can do them. But
Even LeBron has trouble shooting free throws.
It's facts.
I don't know. Man, see, I never was big at shooting. Like, I was past first point guard, and I know you look at me and think I ran point guard. But when it came to free throws, I was knocked down. Like, it's what you did. You made them. They don't want to foul you, especially if you're point guard. And in the game's on, you're up by 5 with a minute left. You want the ball in your hand. You don't want no one else to make that turnover. You want them to foul you, so you go shoot the free throws. Heck, there was a couple times some of my players got fouled, and I went to the line to shoot the free throw and just said, don't even act like you're supposed to be here. Move away. And the referees never catch on to it. Y'all ever do anything like that?
Cheated the refs.
Absolutely.
Not that I got away with it.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
How many centers on your team though were good free throw shooters?
Actually, we did have one that was pretty good.
Yeah, and there are some centers that are.
No, I'll leave it at that.
But again, like
you said, DeAndre Jordan out there.
Right. Again, you said you play PG. Like you're even though you're pass first, you're still expected, to be a really good shooter.
They used to call me the doctor because I'd be setting up shots left and right. Just throwing that out there. Listen, I know I'm being funny, but at the same time, when you look at me, you think a hefty guy anyways, obviously. But it's always funny because I had some moves when I go out there and play. We played at college, and I went to a small college where we actually had a junior varsity college team and got to play a little varsity. But we actually played a North Carolina prep school where some of the players had already signed with one talked to me, and he said he'd signed with Oklahoma. Couldn't tell you his name. Wish I'd actually paid attention more. But so some of these players were D1. They were trying to dunk on us like crazy. We were too country to let them dunk on us, so we were like fouling them in the belly buttons trying to contest the dunks. But I came off the bench, and you got all these players, and you know how when you have these good teams, the fans are already hooping and hollering whenever somebody does something great for their own team. Somebody crosses somebody, crowd goes wild. Here I am. Big old 00 goes out there with the ball. And as soon as a fat guy like myself gets the ball and goes out on the court, you automatically, the defense always think, I can get an easy steal. Book up, cross one guy up behind my back, passes somebody else under the go because the defense came over help, and the crowd goes, that's white chocolate. I'm like, yeah, I'm eating this up now, boys. I'm loving it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But I had a ball with that. I always pull something. One game, actually, on a fast break, this is always funny, and I'm sorry, I'm stealing the show on this part. I want to hear what you guys did. On a fast break, I was too slow to outrun anybody. I stole the ball half court, about to get a layup. The guy's about to pin it up against the backboard because I have no hops whatsoever. So I stick the ball between my legs and fake the shot. He flies over me, then I just lay it in. Coach calls times out, takes me out because he says we don't do that stuff. Thought it was great. Coach. It worked.
Yeah. Man.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. I did all the cool stuff. What can I say?
I didn't do anything like that. I had some moments, but nothing. I didn't put anything between my legs.
Let's hear it. What's your one play that sticks out? Because we all got those one plays that's just like, hey, I did that.
Mine was just a shot. I had my senior year of high school. We played a crosstown rival in our Christmas tournament that we play every year, and I hit the game winner at the buzzer.
Oh,
okay. 3-pointer at the buzzer, and the whole crowd rushed it, put me on their shoulders.
Nice.
It was like a scene out of a movie.
Yes, sir.
That was it. And
now,
it was a good season, though.
Were you down by 1 or down by 2?
We're down by 2.
Okay, so you went for the win. Okay,
we won by 1, yeah.
Clutch.
So it was ice water, like you said.
All right, CJ. In the veins, got it. Let's hear you, CJ. What you got?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't play high school basketball. I played football, but just playing pickup. It's calm. I'm left-handed, so I'm going in. Nice.
I knew we liked each other.
I wish I was left-handed. That's one thing I always said, dude. I wish I was a lefty playing ball.
It's so much easier.
I wish I was a left-handed player.
So just going up against guys playing high school ball, tall guy, I mean, like 6'6", nice little up and under. Just in the gym, just calm pickup. So, and that's probably my big thing. I never played in big regulation, big ballers like you guys, man. Never.
Nah, I mean I got invited to a D3 college showcase out in Ohio,
Oh,
from where
nice.
I am, and I went to that, but that's the furthest I ever. Nothing ever came from it, but it was a cool experience.
Hmm.
That was about it.
I got offered. I say offered. They invited me to go to Australia and represent America in something in high school, but I had to raise like $12,000 to go. I'm like,
Yeah, all right, I'm all set with that.
yeah. I'm like, is this
Not a
fraud
free
or is this
ride?
like yeah
What do you
yeah?
mean?
It was just like a summer thing. You raise $12,000 to pay for your expenses to go for like a month time to play for USA high school basketball. I'm like,
Got to rep your country, but it's gonna cost you 12 G's.
yeah. I don't think so.
I don't love my country that much.
No, absolutely not. Yeah. This is like going to be tax write-off or something. I don't know. But one time in college, and it's just a funny story because anytime you do something in the basketball world, like if something you pulled out of your butt and it happens, you don't make a smile or nothing. You keep on going, right? And you act like you meant to do it. So walking down campus is an outside court, and the ball, some other kids that were absolutely trash playing. The ball came out of bounds over onto the street with me, and I grabbed it, and I just underhanded it hard as I could all the way down to the other end. Nothing but net, like full court and some more because where I was on the sidewalk. And they all just turned around and said, "What?" I just threw my backpack on my shoulder and just kept on walking. I just like, I'm just going to act like I'm the coolest thing ever. Still to this day, and that's been over 15 years ago. One of the guys, when he sees me, he's like, "Man, you remember when you did that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do it all the time, man." Totally luck. Totally luck. Well, boys, we kind of here just rambling now. I mean, it's fun. It is fun. And now we've got Christian finally in here that says Rams in 4. Let's see. What does Michael 100% made the bio?
Rams in 4.
What did I spell wrong?
Get out of the chat, Christian. Get out of the
wow.
chat.
I sure did. Sorry, cousin's birthday. It's okay, Christian. Happy birthday?
Oh, Matt Skur says, who we got in the Final Four? I'm a North Carolina fan, so shout out to Tar Heels. I got the Tar Heels.
Anyone but Duke. Can we say that? Is that okay?
I would have said Villanova if Moore didn't get hurt yesterday or 2 days when they played yesterday. So I think Kansas beats Villanova.
I got UCLA winning it all.
It's going to be hard to beat Duke again. North Carolina obviously beat Duke in Coach K's last home game, but it's going to be hard to beat them twice. But
CJ sitting there thinking, wait, I thought UCLA's out of it.
No, I think
Carolina beat them.
Might be a special ride. Special ride with Duke, man.
If Duke wins it, it's rigged. I'm just saying it.
It's the first time that them and Carolina have ever met in the tournament. And he can avenge his loss, and then if he plays Kansas, he has a chance to beat the team that he beat for his very first national title.
That would be crazy.
What a story, right?
Yeah. This is planned. He was supposed to retire last year.
Like the movie.
And Dick Vitale's like, hold up, let's do this, baby. And he planned everything out, and he said, okay, this is what we're going to do next year. We've got it planned.
Man.
I don't know, though. Arizona's looking pretty good, aren't they? They're still in it, ain't they?
No. The final four is Duke versus North Carolina and
Kansas and who?
Villanova versus Kansas.
Okay, well then.
Arizona was out in the Sweet 16. They lost to Houston.
That's right. That is totally right.
UCLA lost to North Carolina.
Man, I don't want
Kentucky lost to St. Peter's. No big deal.
St. Peter's.
It's time to hop off of here.
Don't worry, Purdue couldn't beat him either.
That's right. I mean, there was a few teams that couldn't beat them, so.
North Carolina beat them.
Didn't we beat you all?
Did you beat us?
Didn't we beat you all this year?
I mean, I traded a regular season win for a trip to the final.
No, like legit. I can't remember because I was thinking like, okay, we beat you all, and I'm pretty sure we beat Kansas this year too.
Yeah. So Purdue beat us and Kentucky beat us, and then we just beat. So St. Peter's beat two teams that we couldn't beat.
That's what's crazy about sports.
But teams like that, dude, like teams like that, like I was telling you at the beginning, Mike, those teams always fizzle out. Mm-hmm. They just they don't have the talent really to take them that deep. It's just they have a few good games stretch, and then ultimately it just Cinderella takes off the slipper. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Good job, Matt. 3 out of 4. That's really good, actually. So I want to ask you guys this, just because I'm a Kentucky boy, and everyone here in the state, or at least on my Facebook, has said this like crazy, saying that Cal should be fired.
No,
What do you all think?
No.
that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Well, I mean, I agree. It does sound dumb, but in the past like 6 to 8 years, we haven't done anything. We've won one national championship, and that was in 2012. And since then, I think we've made one Final Four appearance. We haven't won an SEC title in, I want to say, 5 to 6 years. In 1 year, we didn't even make the tournament. Like, I think, personally, I don't think Cal should be fired, but I definitely think our athletic director, Mitch Barnhart, needs to say, hey, listen, Coach Cal, love you, but we need to have some chats. This is what we expect in the next 2 years to happen. And if
But
not,
you guys are like the premier like one and done school though. Like Duke has a few guys. Carolina really has no one and done guys.
Mhm.
Even like they had Harrison Barnes 1 year, and he was like the number one high school player out of the country. And he didn't go one and done. He stayed for a couple years.
Right.
Like it's hard to be consistent when you have guys that are just playing for 1 year and leaving, and expecting a bunch of freshmen to get you a national championship.
Mm-hmm. And
It
see,
doesn't.
I'm with Logan on this. Unless you have Coach K lined up or someone to that perspective or a pop to take over, then no. Because that's actually what I've been putting on my Facebook when people are saying, we need to get rid of him, we need to get rid of him. And I'll put on there, I said, okay, I'm fine with that. But who's going to replace him that is better? Because, granted, we may not be winning the titles, but the caliber players that we're getting that's going on to the NBA that's doing so much different things is still wonderful. Who can replace Cal and still maintain something there? Like there's no one I think is available. One person that I think would be perfect would be Billy Donovan if the Bulls weren't doing good. But the Bulls did good this year, so I don't think he would come out because I want to say he either coached with Rick Pitino at Kentucky or he played for Kentucky. He has some type of ties with Kentucky because
Billy Donovan went to Providence.
Did he go to Providence? Okay, he played with
Pitino coached Providence.
And then Donovan I think he coached. Yeah. So he helped coach there because I want to say Rick Pitino, Tubby, and Billy Donovan were all coaches together at one point. And Billy Donovan was going to leave Florida and take over at Kentucky, but he didn't want to be Tubby's replacement. And that's when we had Billy Gillespie era. That was a waste of time. So we almost had Billy Gillespie. We did. Billy Donovan back then. So I think it would be great. And I kind of feel like Billy Donovan has not done well in the NBA, but the Bulls have turned it around this year. So I think
it's the complete opposite. Like I think Donovan's done great in the NBA.
This year, I think so too.
Well, no, even he had Oklahoma City. He took that Oklahoma City team that was supposed to do nothing, and they led him to the playoffs. I mean, you could say that was a bunch of Chris Paul. But,
Chris Paul.
Yeah, but still, you got to have a coach behind him, right? And that team wasn't expected to even make the playoffs. And what they finished, they were like 4 or 5 in the West that year.
I agree.
They were expected to do nothing. And then the Bulls have been up until
why did they let him go?
Slide that they went on. Then he goes to coach them. I don't know. I just don't think he goes back to college right now.
Yeah, I think he, to me, he's a better college coach because we've seen him get out coached when the playoffs comes around against these good teams. Remember, they did have the 3-1 lead against the Warriors. 73-9 Warriors had a 3-1 lead and they folded. He's okay. He isn't, to me. He's not great. And then we're starting to see it now, even with the Bulls. I mean, they started off hot, and then but whenever they go up against really good teams, they just aren't able to figure it out.
Billy Donovan coached that Thunder team?
That went to the finals? No, that was Scott Brooks.
Yeah, you said you just said that he blew the 3-1 lead to the Warriors. Or are you talking about somebody different?
No, I'm talking about Billy Donovan was the head coach of that Thunder team that when they were up 3-1.
Was he?
No. Scotty Brooks wasn't there.
He was at Washington by then? Okay.
Yeah, he was.
I was wondering when Brooks left. I went to Washington.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was on Washington by then. Yep.
Yeah, Washington.
You just going along with it?
Yeah, totally. Washington State. Yeah, that's where. DC maybe.
Yeah. Oh man.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't get rid of Cal. Cal's one of the best to ever do it. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a great recruiter. Like you don't get rid of Cal.
if they did, do you think we could hire Rick Pitino back, or is he too old?
No, you can kind of back. He was getting some looks for the URI job over here in Rhode Island. URI just fired their coach.
Oh yeah,
They just hired Archie Miller, but they were getting some looks at Pitino. So I think he might have the itch.
I think so. Well, who's he coaching? Iona or something like that?
Yeah.
It's somewhere crazy, and they were doing good. So I think he's going to be back really quick.
And also for you guys listening on Colorcast, you can't hear me on Colorcast because my phone died.
Oh,
unbelievable.
Well, and that's the case. I guess we could go ahead and wrap it up too. Actually, it's just saying that you're still there, man. But CJ, yeah, it says you're still there, but it's like you're thinking. Let's go ahead and let you announce all your shows and stuff again, and that wonderful podcast that I love so much.
Yeah, Guard Up Podcast, covering all things NBA, Twitch, CJ versus the World, and also the Hard Count, streaming on every Tuesday on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube as well at 9 p.m.
And co-host of the Count the Bucket.
I mean, we're already on Count the Bucket.
I'm just repetition, trying to get it in there so it flows for you. No.
On the hard count, look out. I'll definitely.
Okay, I'm going to listen for it.
Make it official.
Go ahead, Mark.
You guys can find me over on Twitter, MarkBell2311. Just in case you guys haven't noticed already, I am a co-host of Count the Bucket.
Whoop whoop.
You like that, Mike?
Thank you, Mark.
So yeah, it's the only podcast I'm doing right now. So you guys check me there. Follow me. You guys are all we're tweeting about basketball. Obviously, the Boston Celtics. You see the name Caesar, the number 1 seed. They're gonna stay the number 1 seed. And Banner 18's coming. You heard it here first. Wow. We're winning the finals this year. Best defense in the league. We got it.
I mean, they're the hottest team right now. That's
you can look at me like I'm crazy, but I remember I was on the show last time with you and Nick, and you guys were like, "Oh, the Boston Celtics need a point guard," and I was like, "No, they have Marcus Smart, and they're finally using him as a point guard, and then he'll be fine." And then he came back healthy, and now look what's happening.
I agree because
I know these guys. I know my squad.
I was bad-mouthing them. I was bad-mouthing the C's back then. So, my name is Michael Donald Robert Lawson, and I need to make that apology formally that I badmouthed the Celtics when you guys are the first seed now.
All the haters are mad right now. That's all I can say. They are all mad.
But you can find me, MD Lawson00, on all social medias, even TikTok, where I just basically have a few videos of my kids doing something crazy. But my bio has all my Linktree information there. Check me out Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern time for my Backstop Banter show as well. And I won't say Count the Bucket since I'm the co-host on here, and CJ makes it feel weird when I announce that. But go check out the podcast on those, and also look us up on Twitter for those shows as well. Guys, appreciate it so much. Y'all have a good one.
You too. Bye, guys.